This video is brought to you by the coldest water. It's important to stay hydrated, particularly this time of year as we head into the warmer summer months. As I continue to get more active this time of year with things like yard work and sports and various other outdoor activities, it's more important than ever for me to stay hydrated. And when I want to stay hydrated, particularly outdoors, I want my water to stay cold. And the coldest water bottle absolutely lives up to its name. The first time that I used it, I filled it up about a quarter of the way with ice, the rest of the way with water. I drank about half of it, set and put the lid on it, left it out overnight, came back literally a day later. Not only was the water inside still cold, but the ice hadn't even melted all the way yet. Seriously, that's real life experience here. And they will even personalize it for you as they have mine. Check out the links to the coldest water down in the description of this video. Why do tugboats push their barges? Tug means pull. So I hope that you enjoyed that track. All of the guitars and the bass were recorded using IK Multimedia Amplitube 5. I've been using Amplitube 4 myself for a few years now, and have really, I've grown to like it. I'm not a big virtual amp plugin, amp sim kind of guy. I generally prefer to use real amps, but there are times when I do want to use the virtual plugin version. And, Amplitube 4 had pretty much everything in it that I could have ever possibly needed. And when Amplitube 5 came out, I couldn't believe how they improved the quality of so many of the amps that were already in there, as well as added, some more even more just great sounding amps. The Engel Fireball in particular is one of my favorites. That thing sounds killer. So without further ado, we're going to dive in. I'm going to share my screen with you, and let's check this thing out together, shall we? Okay, so here we are in Persona Studio One. This is Studio One version 4. I unfortunately have not upgraded to the latest version 5 as of yet. I'm still on version 4, but that's okay. This is version 4 is still plenty current, and this will more than tell the story of what we're trying to tell today. So, as you pull it up, there it is. They've improved the graphics quite a bit from Amplitube 4. Not that the graphics on Amplitube 4 were bad at all, but they have changed a few things. This is not the full version, by the way, but it's it's enough of it that I think we ought to be able to get the idea. Amplitube 5, all of the amps. Of course, the layout is a little bit different. You can go through and choose your amps over here on the right. This is a little bit different. You don't necessarily have to go through all of the drop downs, go through the drop down boxes over here, though you certainly can if you choose to do so. And there are, as you can see, plenty to choose from. plenty. And the complete rigs here, are some of the ones that I'm most familiar with. Some of these presets, this is probably my favorite bass preset. It does sound a little bit different from Amplitube 4, because this is a carryover preset from the older version. But for the most part, everything is still the same. And like I said, it's a little bit different sounding as you can expect, but not too much. This is still my favorite bass plugin. Most of the full track demos that you hear on my channel are, I generally track the bass using this particular plugin. Over here, back to the amps. Of course, you can see, not only is there plenty of amps to choose from, but they've got them split up into, various different categories as well. The first one's, of course, being your clean. Your clean amps, these are most your Fender, your Fender heads. One thing that is worth noting about IK Multimedia, by the way, most of the other amp sims out there, not to say that they are not inferior, not to say that any of the other amp sims are inferior in any way, but IK Multimedia's are good enough that they were able to get they're able to earn the actual licensing from a lot of these very, very well-known amp companies like Fender. In other words, Fender felt that IK's plug-in version of the Princeton Reverb sounds awfully close, certainly close enough to the real thing that Fender was willing to sign off on it. And it definitely sounds like a Princeton Reverb to me. And of course, the Deluxe Reverb, best-selling amp of all time. Let's see what else we got. A collection of Mesa Boogie amplifiers. Some of the, that's obviously a Mark, looks like a Mark II. Some of these, I'm sorry, it's a Mark III. They got labeled. Some of the Mesa Boogie ones are actually, Mesa did sign off on them, and some of them are just, essentially IK clones. It's a Sun Model T, and I think there it is. There's a Roland Jc100, my very favorite clean tone. So moving down here into the crunch section, now we're getting into some of the more, some of the tweed stuff. Again, some of the, the cranked up Fender amps. Here's some of your orange amps. Looks like a silver-faced Fender, some kind, or a model of a THD. More Marshall, more orange. There's the dual terror. So let's see what else we got. More high watt, more orange, high watt, more Marshall. Fender Supersonic. That's one of my favorite amps. I like these quite a bit. There's a Mesa Boogie. Dr. Z, that's a Z-Rec. And then, of course, a high gain section. There is a Marshall AFD 100. That's a very, very limited. That was a slash model head that Marshall did. I think they only made 100 of them. If you're not familiar with this head, great amps. I've actually played a real one, in person, and it's based on memory. Of course, I'm not A/B-ing this right up against an actual AFD 100, but based on memory, this thing sounds awfully close. More Marshall. There's a Jubilee Jca100. As of this recording, my buddy Greg Campbell's getting ready to put up a video on this amp, and he showed us a clip. I didn't know this thing had this much gain. JCM Slash apparently cashed in on his endorsement deal with IK Multimedia. They've got a bunch of Slash heads here. 150 watt metal lead. That's obviously a 5150. Or 6505, whatever you want to call it. That looks like that. I'm not sure what this one is. Maybe a diamond or or an old crankhead or something. It looks familiar. For some reason, I can't place it. Marshall MH or a Fender MH500. That's like that was a solid state high gain monster that they came out with back in the 90s. My favorite, the Engel Powerball. I love this thing. This one sounds great. I did a video recently, talking about different varying levels of gain for as it relates to metal guitar tone, and this is the amp actually that I used for that demo. Rockerverb 50, Thunderverb 200, another one of my favorites. Triple rectifier. I don't know why they got the triple and the dual and the triple and the dual rectifier in here, but apparently they do. I always thought those two were pretty similar. Carvin V3M. And it looks like an old plexi, old plexi of some kind. Probably hot rodded, modified Marshall if I had to guess. And then of course all your bass amps. And we've already gone over a couple of these anyway. There's some Fender models. There's a Gallion Kruger in here somewhere. That's the one that I like. There it is, MB150, and among others. So, those are your amps. You can also go over here to your pedals, and again, they have if you want to add some effects, you can do that into the chain. You would add them in pretty much anywhere down here. So, for example, and there are of course numerous different categories, and they've also expanded out on a lot of these as well. So you got a selection of delays and reverbs here in this section, basically your time-based effects. Some of these ought to look pretty familiar. This one they don't have labeled, but obviously that is a Boss delay. And with the slash logo on it, that's obviously it's the DD3, which is what he's known to use quite a bit, particularly back on when they were recording Appetite for Destruction. Also one of my very, very favorite delays, because I love Boss digital delays. Number of distortion pedals, for example. So there we go. So back to pedals. If I wanted to add a distortion pedal into the front of it, I sure can. Let's see. Let's go with the good old-fashioned. Got to go with the metal zone. Oh, they got an looks like they got an HM2 in there to play with as well. We got compressors, we got filters and wah pedals. We got fuzzes. We got modulation, and we got modulation on top of modulation. So, chorus, flanger, phaser. There's a phase 9, there's a phase 10. All kinds of stuff in here. Univibe, chorus. Looks like definitely an MXR chorus. So you get the idea. Of course, you can also choose what else goes into your signal path. You can choose your cabs, your IRs, if you will, and there are again plenty to choose from. And you can even add in your own outboard studio effects and stuff, should you choose to do so. Very, very cool. Tons and tons and tons of ways to shape your sound. So yeah, there you go. That is IK Multimedia's Amplitube 5 in a nutshell. That's it, the all-new Amplitube 5 from IK Multimedia. I hope that you enjoyed this video and found it informative. Please consider subscribing down below if you have not already. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.